So what's on the menu tonight? Yesterday, something very significant happened that fundamentally changed our geopolitical landscape. 46 new districts were inaugurated, sparking a heated controversy, mainly between the ruling NDC and the main opposition party, the New Patriotic Party. But while the disagreements between these two political parties were limited to verbal exchanges on the airwaves and in Parliament, ordinary folks took the disagreements beyond the talk to actual fisticuffs. The arrest of 4 people in Asokore Mampon during the district inauguration there yesterday is a case in point. Questioning why the disagreements, what are the key issues, and really how legal or constitutional is the creation of the new districts. Tonight, we will attempt to get the answers. And then later, we will critically look at the call made last week, Monday, and that unprecedented ministerial welcome accorded the president on his return from, quote, a routine medical checkup. What was the fuss all about? That's later here on Joint Caucus. But before all that, let me give you a taste of the Minority Caucus earlier this week.
We think women, when given position of trust, behave as such. But unfortunately, some actions and inactions of certain women put in certain high positions have sort of put us in a very tight corner. That's we have disappointed the people, and I'm disappointed myself. Sometimes it's very embarrassing being a woman and being in politics, and certain actions and inactions of certain women put in a high profile has become a bit embarrassing. We hope we'll have a opportunity, given by Nana to rectify this and prove to them that all is not lost in Ghanaian women in politics and perhaps in Africa.
So that was an excerpt of the Minority Caucus. Let's watch this clip from the Majority Caucus.
In 1996, the President John Kufuor, then candidate Kufuor, went into one of the bitterest political primary with Mr. J.H. Mensah, in which J.H. Mensah told delegates that they should reject Kufuor the way they would reject rotten cassava.
I recall that vividly.
It didn't stop President Kufuor from working with J.H. Mensah.
Yeah.
Akufo-Addo contested John Kufuor. It didn't stop him from working with him. In the 2008 U.S. primary, Joe Biden told Americans that Obama was not fit enough to lead Americans. It didn't stop President Obama from working with Joe Biden. In any political contests, even in family traditional things, you are bound to have people express divergent opinion on who should lead and who not to lead. But as long as that contest is over, everybody joins the winner and support him. That's the hallmark of a true sportsman.
Thank you for staying with us. My name is Evans Mensah. Joining me to have the discussion, and indeed 2 issues on the table tonight, are Deputy Minister, Local Government and Rural Development, Elvis Efriye Ankra. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Also, Honorable Obi Amwa, MP Ebri Sawam, and Member of Parliament's Constitutional Legal Committee. Thank you very much for joining us here on Joint Caucus. Let me start with you, Mr. Efriye Ankra. Yesterday, you inaugurated the districts. How did it go?
Fantastic. Prior to the inauguration, my minister and my other colleague, we went around all the 46 districts to see the preparations. And even in these preparatory visits, to ensure that facilities were available, office accommodation, residential accommodation, the kind of reception that we received was just overwhelming. The people were excited, chiefs and people, they came out in their numbers. And indeed, let me take this opportunity to commend them. the various chiefs, the various committees that were set up in various traditional areas. They set up committees and task forces to ensure that everything was in place. And yesterday, across the country, it was jubilation galore. And it was raining in many of the places. I was in North Dai, Amfuega, and it was raining. The people defied the rain, and they stood in the rain, danced. They were so ecstatic. And wherever we sent people, ministers, presidential staffers, they went to various places. And the feedback we're getting is that apart from 4 or 5 places where there were some, but even in those 4 places, apart from Asokore Mampong, where there was an incident, in other places, the other 3 or 4 places where there were different, Ningo Pram Pram, everything went on perfectly because we had engaged the people, we had spoken to them and tried to explain to them that indeed when you have a situation where over 120 communities asked for districts and we had to make a choice, we chose 46 out of 120.
They asked for it?
Yes, 120
How?
communities. Yes, the one district to be created.
How did they make that request?
They write petitions, they write to Parliament, and my honourable member of Parliament will tell you delegations, right? They came to Parliament, the president, to the minister, regional minister, we have all the documents there.
But 46 of them?
120.
Too many, some may say.
Oh, well, go and tell the other almost 80 people that is too many. They even want more. So that's the point. There's a point that you have to cut off, okay? You can't just give everybody a district. But we look at all the factors and we weigh them, and then the major thrust, the main reason is that we want to bring development to the doorstep of the people.
But is that automatic? Let's challenge that a bit. Does that necessarily mean that once you create a district, automatically they'll have development?
More often than not, it creates a platform. I'll give you an example, and I'll use a region. I don't know if you've been to the Upper West region.
I have.
Good. Before the Upper West region was created, it was a no-go area. It was no man's land. There was virtually no development. The moment the region was created, the place changed. So it's very clear. And almost everywhere, the information shows that wherever we've created the district has become a growth pole. Because one, resources go there. I'll give you another example. You have a place we call the overseas territory, Yagaba, Kubore, and all those places. They were all part of Sandema. Now, if you look at the vastness of the place, you have to travel about 100 kilometers from Sandema before you get to overseas. Now, administratively, it makes work very, very, very difficult. So once you break that up, and then resources are going to the overseas, and then they have their own assembly, they will focus on development there. So indeed, the evidence is clear that wherever we've created districts, once the resources go there, the resources bring development. People go and work there, people go and create all kinds of opportunities there. In
other words, creating these districts, you have put in place the mechanism to make sure that these districts get the needed funds to indeed develop.
Exactly.
We have done that.
Exactly. In fact, unlike in 2003 and in 2007, when the districts were created, they were just created by name. We have one district in Ashanti region, which is on top of a filling station. There's another district in Brongahafo, which is a compound house. Half of the house is an assembly. The other house is somebody's house. In the afternoon, they'll be pounding fufu and live soup, disturbing the nostrils of the staff. But what we've done, that's why we went around. We ensure that committees were set up and that they have structures in place. We inspected them physically ourselves. We sent them seed money so that they could renovate where renovation had to be done and ensure that at least the basic offices for the DCE, the coordinating director, the finance officer, and all the other units were available. The accommodation was available. We saw them ourselves, inspected them. We sent money to ensure that.
How much money have you budgeted for the
and then
don't need offices?
For each of the districts, we've made provision for 42 million Ghana cedis for all the districts because Initially, we were looking at 42 districts before we increased it to 46. So you're looking at just a little under 1 million Ghana cedis per district as seed money. So that seed money is going to go to them. Immediately they open accounts. You know that the coordinating director and the DFO must go through a process.
Where would the rest of the money come from if it's seed money?
Hold on, let me. Don't drink the soup before the fufu. You know, so they'll get their money. Then, unprecedented manner, members of parliament in approving the common fund formula for this year, we also made sure that the new districts were captured. So for the first time, the new districts are going to get the allocation of the common fund. And depending on the size of the district, each district will get between 3, 4 to up to 7 million, depending on the size of the district. So you're talking about at least every district having an average of 4 million Ghana cedis, up to 7, 8 million Ghana cedis to start with. And that, I think that is a very solid foundation. That
Is that more impressed?
Well, if you allow Elvis will talk the whole night and probably, as usual, I want to impress you. But yesterday I was in a newly created district. He's talking about structures, he's talking about putting up buildings, etc. The Abri district, I may call it interim district. It's a horticultural school, half of it which has been painted as district offices for the district. So we have not put up any new building.
I've not said. Have I said that we've put up new buildings? I said we've made provision for offices wherever. But I think that this is something that I should correct.
Because we have a lot of time to discuss.
Yes. So
you note it down, you can respond to him. But in fairness to him, he says that they have a seed capital.
No. Before them, he said he went around, he inspected premises,
made sure that you have all the premises new structures. Please. I didn't say that.
He will get a point to respond.
It's a live program.
Yes, the impression I got was that you went around, you inspected premises, you have all the places ready, unlike the first government where they had chop bars as district capitals or district offices. And I was saying that in Abri, the minister came there. We went around with him to the gardens, and what we located was the horticultural school used by students, half of it which has been painted, and that is where the district offices are. That's a fact. And
so,
I'm not.
I'll come back to you.
It's a fact. So I'm just giving an example that you yourself you are aware that when you say you've created a district, overnight you cannot have structures in place. But if you come here and tell me that there's a district which is on top of a chop bar, and that in your case,
filling station.
In your case,
the chop bar is on the ground.
That I'm sure he was just.
No, but I have to correct him. And I have to let him be aware that you don't create this overnight.
The substantive point about the issues.
The basic infrastructure.
He talked about the fact that
initially they said they were creating 42.
Basic.
It's going to bring development. People have asked for it. A challenge that he says, well, they had petitions, letters, and he actually says that you can confirm. Respond to these key issues for me.
No, the letters, Parliament doesn't create districts in the first place. So letters don't come to Parliament. What happens is that, for instance, when we were creating electoral areas, when the LI came to Parliament, you had about 70 petitions, which is captured in the Hansard. About 70 petitions came as to how the electoral areas were being created, the challenges, the problems they were facing. The famous one being the Akuse one, which went to Supreme Court, and some electoral areas had to be sent back to Akuse instead of belonging to a Gardamgwe. So petitions come to Parliament. Of course, the impression has been created, and to the point is true, that when you have a district, you get development. But it's not in every situation. If I have a book here by Kwame Nahoi, IEA document, he's saying that
a known local government expert.
Yes, Professor Kwame Nahoi. He chastised the Kufuor government for creating districts, saying that some of them were not viable. Some of them did not have any economic viability, but they had been created. But because it was political, they couldn't do anything about it. But what the NDC is doing would maybe even be worse. So it doesn't follow necessarily that you pick 20,000 population, 20,000 inhabitants and create a district for them. The overnight, it becomes viable or they have development, etc., etc. And number two, you said that the District Assembly Common Fund has been earmarked for these new districts. But it's not for the whole year. It's for when the districts were started. You cannot say that this is started, let's say, June, this date, but they'll have common fund from January. So let's put that in perspective. He's talking about 7 million as we speak, even the existing districts. Just the few days that we heard that the minister has transferred some funds to these districts. How many months now? We're in June, entering July. So let's put that in perspective. It's good. He's trying to paint a rosy picture, but we should let the facts speak for him.
That's just warming up, and he talks about politics. And there's a word that we've heard this week, gerrymandering. And if you've not heard it before, we will explore what that means. Key question to Mr. Free Ankara. when you started this whole discussion about creating the districts, a lot of alarm were raised, particularly about the legality and constitutionality of what you're going to do. Some said you have to wait for the census figures to come out because the Constitution clearly says that a district to be created would need 75,000 people within a certain geographical area. The only way to know that is to wait for the census figures. You did not wait, and you went ahead and took the law to Parliament, and it was amended, it was created. How do you respond to the question that you basically perpetrated an illegality?
There's nothing illegal about this. The point is that even you, multimedia, I'm sure that when we go to your website, before the census results came out, you were quoting population figures. Where did you get them from? Everybody knew that after a census, the population would grow by a certain percentage.
Really?
Of course. I mean,
that was not automatic.
It was tried knowledge. So really, you could.
Then why do we have the census?
No, the census will give you the specific details.
But you needed that to create the district.
But we could infer that if indeed a certain population had grown by this number, by this time it would be this. So we're working within that range, and indeed the census figures did not contradict our assumptions. Okay.
You sure?
Of course.
You want me to point you to some evidence?
No, but hold on. The issue is that people are saying that if they said 75,000, then it must be 75,000. But you see, practice has shown that it is not only the census that you take into account. You take into account the geographical area. You take into account the need for development. You take into account devolving.
I'm sorry, when the law says 75,000, 75,000.
Okay, so you ask them, when they created Cape Coast metropolitan area, did they have 250,000?
Unfortunately, we are under the NDC
yes,
administration, and therefore you have to answer for what you've just done.
Good, but he must also answer
no,
that.
When I come to him and he start answering the questions, I'll pull those questions
but I'm putting that in perspective. I'm saying that as a government, okay, there are many factors, okay? They did not say that population alone, all right? It didn't say that. It's population, you look at land size, you look at the need for development, you look at opening up the area.
But to be legal, you have to satisfy all that.
We looked at all those things, we balanced it.
And you satisfied all that?
Yes, of course.
Let me point you to it.
We looked at all that, and we felt that in certain areas.
What about West Gonja? West Gonja has 84,000.
There is also
Hold on. You divided West Gonja
there is also common
into
sense.
West Gonja and North Gonja. Now, if you divide 84,727, according to the latest census figures, you have a population for West Gonja and North Gonja, each will get 42,000. The law says 75,000. Clearly, that's a breach.
And I'm saying that there's also common sense. That is why the law doesn't talk only about population. The law talks about other factors. So you balance the factors, right? That is why they were able to create Cape Coast as a metropolitan area, who did not have 250,000. That is why they created other districts which were less than 30, 40,000, because there were other factors.
You could have simply waited for the
at the end of the day, government must respond to the needs of the people. Go to West Gonja, Evans, tomorrow. Charter a plane, get to Tamale, drive to West Gonja, pass through the overseas forest, and go and tell the people that they don't deserve a district. Okay, governance must be proactive. Governance must be practical. You must respond to the needs of the people.
Legal.
Yeah, of course.
Agreed.
Of course. If you have 4 criteria, okay, and out 3, out of the 4, they qualify by 3. What is your problem?
If anybody can still go to court and challenge on that one criteria.
Well, I'm not a judge, so people are free. People are going to court over all manner of issues, so that is their problem. Our issue is that you look at a place like West Gonja, you look at the overseas area, you look at the vastness of land. You should go and see the conditions under which people live. You see, it's very, very easy to sit in Accra and think that Accra is everything. And so we can easily propound these theories. But when you go down there and you see the conditions under which people live, you drive on rough roads for 3, 4, 5 hours before you get into a town. Sometimes when you're driving, you ask yourself, how did these people get to those areas? You want to open up those places. You create a district, people will go there, development partners will go there, NGOs will go there, you create accessibility, you create an economy, the place will develop. Civil servants will go there with their families, people will go and build schools, hotels, restaurants. You open up the place. So we will not be bound by one factor. There are many other factors. And the most important factor is that you're bringing development, to the doorsteps of the people. You're bringing governance to their doorsteps so that they will feel included. Some places when you go to, the people feel that they are not even part of the country because there's nothing, they don't experience governance in any way. So because of 75,000, they should continue to be cut off and they are in Ghana, but we call them overseas. No, 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 no.
Mr. Samuel, you agree?
Well, the fact that we want this doesn't mean that we should not respect the law. Indeed, sometimes we wonder why the NDC, we've been in a hurry to create these districts, in spite of the legal challenges. When the LI came to Parliament, within the 21 days, on the floor of Parliament, when these issues were raised, a whole Minister of State stood up and said that, please let these pass. We will cure the defects later, irrespective of the fact that these are illegal. He said on the floor of Parliament that he felt that the minister would have the opportunity to come back to come and cure the defects. So we should let it pass. Do you tell the House that even though it's a house for making laws, they should overlook some of these things and just let it pass? Let me give you a typical example.
Mr. Samuel, you were in Parliament yourself?
Yes, but...
A member of the Legal and Constitutional Committee?
Yeah, let me give you...
What did you do about it?
Let me give you the background to it. When an LI comes to Parliament, you either accept it or reject it. That is annul it. And you need 2/3 of Parliament to do that. So in spite of all that the minority will say, we don't have the 2/3. You can have your say, they will have their way. And that's what happened. At the end of the day, we didn't get the 2/3 to annul the LI. Very simple. 1983, LI 1983, on the creation of electoral areas. It came to Parliament, and then there were about 70 petitions. Based on the petitions, some of the electoral areas were amended. 3 Supreme Court cases, 3 Supreme Court rulings have come out to say that it's illegal for you to amend the LI. And it's these same electoral areas which they have used to create these districts. This was pointed out to them. They said, oh, let it pass. We will find a way of carrying the defects. For the first time in our history, we have I counted about 9 or 11 districts, MPs who have 2 districts under them. It doesn't happen. Under Act 462, it says that no one person should belong to more than 1 assembly. As we speak, I belong to 2 assemblies. Because the NDC, in their wisdom, they've created districts before waiting for the EC to create constituencies. In our time, we never created districts for EC to create constituencies for this situation to arise. I don't know whether you follow me. As I said, 1 person cannot belong to 2 district assemblies. And the Constitution also says that every MP belongs to an assembly. Now, or an MP should be a member of an assembly. And I said that if you go around, there are specific districts which have been created. And because the NEC did not wait for the EC, we have a situation where we, more or less, some of us are working in legalities, in the sense that we don't have 2 constituencies. There's only 1 constituency called Ebri Sawam, but now we have 2 districts. And because of that, I belong to both. That's an anomaly.
Can I?
And there's only one aspect of it. It's only one aspect. Probably you could have come to amend the 462, as you've amended part of it about compatibility. They were criticizing us that we created districts and municipalities which were not compact. Come now, how it's quoted here. But then they came to Parliament.
Saying what?
I want you to read it so that everybody. Yeah.
Let me help you.
Okay, hold on. I want to read this for our own
Yeah.
education. It says that the net, and this book is titled Rethinking Decentralization and Local Government in Ghana, Proposals for Amendment. He says that the net effect of all these is that we have metropolis that do not meet international standards, municipalities that are not single, compact settlements, in quote, within the meaning of Act 462, and districts that are not economically viable, again, as required by Act 462. Such proliferation of districts always poses a danger to local government and decentralization, as they tend to strengthen the central government's stronghold over the districts.
Evans, hold on. Please.
Hold on, please. Hold on, but I just want to let me ask him a question that you can explain. What does this mean for the ordinary person listening?
What it means is that he was raising issues with the way we've created districts. I mean, he was picking the districts that President Kufuor's administration created.
You're saying
in
that
2004, 2007.
the challenges he was
picking out. You read the conclusion here.
For all these reasons, it is recommended that the power of district boundaries demarcation and district creation should be vested in the Electoral Commission, but subject to the approval of Parliament, and that this should be stipulated in a constitution. This is a recommendation. They are not bound by it.
Hold on.
Let him respond.
He's a professor.
But it's a recommendation they're not bound by. But respond to the issues.
It is serious intellectual dishonesty to just take a document without, you don't even know the title.
Oh.
Hold on, please.
Let him respond.
I'm responding in context. Please, okay? And just read a portion without putting it into context. Now, let me tell you why what he's saying is ridiculous. So what did we do? When we made this complaint that they had created metropolitan, because the law says that a metropolitan or municipal assembly should be one big town, right? They created metropolitan and municipal assemblies that included villages. Okay? So what we did was to take NDC, took that law back to Parliament and amended it. Ask him whether it's true or false.
And have you changed it? Now you have.
They did, but
you have metro without villages.
But we amended it. No, hold on. But we amended it to reflect the reality. Yeah. Because, for example, Accra, okay? First of all, in the past, Accra was central Accra, or it's covered a certain geographical area. Today, Accra is extended. So if you create a metropolis out of Accra, it extends to Medina, Adenta, and all those things. So, but they created it without taking recourse to the law. This is a constitutional purist who is quoting constitution and the law. Purists quoting the law. They implemented without following the law. We came and cured that defect by sending it to Parliament.
But the argument has been made that you so basically created districts that they don't meet the set criteria in the constitution.
No, because you are here saying that population doesn't matter. People are going there.
Hold on. Let me finish this point.
Listen, the point is that what Kwamna is saying is true, okay? They created metropolitan and municipal assemblies that did not follow the law then. We came and then we amended the law to reflect the situation where you can now create metropolitan and municipal assemblies that go beyond one town, a town or a city and surrounding areas. So we have amended the law. So the creations that we've done are following the law now.
But so how come if you've amended? How come you still create districts that allow one constitution to sit between two of them? Like split, for example.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That
which the constitution frowns on explicitly.
Hold on. That's what I'm saying. That you see, local governance involves a lot of complex legal and administrative issues. If you don't understand it, you just be making a mess of yourself. Listen. That is why the Electoral Commission is going to create 45 new constituencies. And the same people are complaining about it.
Because, hold on, let me wrap up.
Can I wrap up? If I don't allow me to land, I'll be making sense.
You can go ahead and make it.
Okay. So, you create, the Constitution says that every district assembly must have a member of Parliament. The Constitution says that it is the EC that creates constituencies. It's not our job. But we, as executive, can create assemblies. We have created the assemblies. The Electoral Commission will do its job by creating constituencies. End of the matter. So where is the problem? And they are the ones who were complaining about the creation of this. Then he sits here again, and then he's...
Let him respond to the issues raised then.
The question I raise is, between now and the time that any new district will have an MP, what is the situation? It's an illegality. You don't tell me that you create an illegality and you wait for somebody to cure that effect. So in the interim, how is that illegality cured? As I speak, I'm giving you the example. Not only me, Senator Ansua, you go to BI, is there, several places, I counted about 11, they are listed here. How do you cure that illegality? That's why I'm saying that this is unprecedented. During the Kufuor administration, it never happened. Say you go on to create a district, then wait for the EC to come and create a constituency. Whilst in the interim, you know that what you are doing is illegal.
Mr. Freeman, but that raises a fundamental point I was going to come to. The question about gerrymandering, because you have to wrap up on this topic, about gerrymandering. And you've made the point, and it's come up in the discussion now, that you forced the EC's hand.
We did not.
Essentially.
We did not.
The Electoral Commission has said it.
We did not.
The Commission has said it.
Because of anticipated
The chairman has said that
gain.
he was going to create 20,
hold
but
on.
because of what you've done, he's being forced to create 45.
Well, we as a government
How do you respond to that? How do you
We
respond
as
to
a
that-
government
to that
are
accusation?
responsible. I told you that there were 120 requests. Okay, 120. We introduced decentralization. They don't believe in it. Okay, from PNDC days, decentralization, the 110 district assemblies, we introduced it. So we know what it means. If you say popular participation, grassroots participation, bringing development to the people, we know what it means. It means that you should bring governance down to their level. And in doing so, you create more administrative units. And we looked at the request and we realized that indeed, in the scheme of things for now, this is what we can do.
But
Now, having that, and so we acted within the law. We have not done anything unconstitutional. Anybody thinks we've done something unconstitutional, can go to court. We've acted within the law. We followed all the processes and procedures, the same process and procedure that they used in 2007 and 2003.
I've told you, never
the same
happened during our
processes.
time.
And so, as an effect of that, you see, the law, I'm saying that this is the kind of argument. What is the name of that Jewish man? I've forgotten his name, who said they should take his money and cut, but not cut his, they should cut his.
I don't quite remember now.
They should cut him, but blood shouldn't come out. It's a popular, literature book that is constitutional purist, okay, without looking at the Constitution is meant to serve the people. The Constitution should not bind us.
Final word to you,
Okay?
Mr. Amwa. He made a fundamental point. You insist some illegality had been triggered by these creations.
Yes.
You are in Parliament. Why don't you go to court?
They are hiding behind.
Why don't you go to court to correct
the
illegality?
sponsoring people.
Illegality. And very briefly on this.
No.
Ayikwe is one of your lawyers.
He's been to court, especially when electoral areas were created and amendments were made. He went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court agreed with him. Supreme Court agreed with him, so he's not hiding behind anybody or being purist. He went to court. Supreme Court has said that any amendment made to an ally is an illegal thing.
So,
and because
so
of that,
the districts,
that's how come Akuse
so the districts
is not part of
will take that
Ghana.
Allow him to wrap up.
That's why
on
Akuse
this
is not part of
particular
Ghana. Akuse has been have had the electoral areas given back to them, which is part of the Eastern region. All these are cases from the Supreme Court. Just recently, 3 good cases. And we are saying that some of the electoral areas that you have used in creating the districts, not all the districts, some of the districts, these electoral areas have been declared null and void to the extent that, as we speak, there are about 99 electoral areas where
they'll be in contempt of court then?
not necessarily contempt of court. What they've done is wrong.
Okay.
To the extent that there are 99 electoral areas where these assemblymen, if you have locus.
I see.
can I quickly?
Quickly,
go
in 30
there?
seconds, because I need to go for a commercial
No.
break and come back to the next topic.
I think that
I mean, if
people
you
should
allow,
understand
I can
that,
give you copies of the cases.
we
Quickly,
went
he has
through a
to- he
process.
has to
We
make
went
that
to
point.
cabinet. We went to parliament. Members of parliament from both sides were on various committees. Committee on local government, committee on constitution. I don't know if it was part of it. They went for several retreats. As he said, they received petitions. All these were reviewed. It went back to cabinet. It came back to parliament, and then it was passed. It was gazetted for 21 days. It has become law. This is the law. This is the process.
I see.
We've done everything according to law.
On Monday, something happened in our country that some civil society groups and some political analysts said, well, it did not hold well at all for our democracy. They said that, for example, that my very friend, my good friend here in the studio with me, Efri Yankra, who was the MC for that occasion, welcoming the president back from a routine medical checkup, was unnecessary because they left their offices when the taxpayers' monies were involved and went to welcome the president back. Some said it doesn't speak well of our democratic maturity. How do you respond to that question? And if you recall, Mr. Jonah made that point quite explicitly, that this simply brings back memories of authoritarian political regimes where individuals like Mobutu Sese Seko, when they return because of loyalty, a lot of his people are mobilized to go to the airport to show him that they love him, when indeed there's work to be done.
You know, you see, sometimes when somebody who has such a stature says certain things, you find it very difficult to respond to him appropriately. You understand me? Because of our cultural, environment. But I think that sometimes it's better to keep quiet than to make a mockery of yourself with this kind of statements. Because you see,
being
to
too
compare, and I'm choosing my words carefully.
He's making
because,
a mockery of himself.
oh, absolutely.
Being too
Because he
harsh on him.
insulted all of us. Okay? To compare President Mills' government to Mobutu Sese Seko, Idi Amin.
That was said.
Is he serious?
He
That's what he
mentioned-
said.
he mentioned
said
some-
that.
some governments,
You see, you are
some-
even
some
surprised.
presidents.
And then he used the word paternalism and patriarchal paternalism. These are theories in political
But to the
science.
substance
And
of
we
what he
know
said.
the context in which these things happen. Now listen, this is not the first time that a president has traveled abroad. He goes abroad every day. Have you ever seen me there emceeing? Anytime he comes, is the chief of staff, vice president, just a few people. So we are talking about context. In doing any analysis, if you refuse to look at the context, your conclusions will be faulty.
What was the context?
The context is that this is a man who, when he was leaving the country or before he left the country, they said he had died, he was in a coma. I remember I was engaged in an
Who said
argument
that?
with people. Oh, it was all over on media.
Rumor?
Of course.
Rumor.
Hold on, please.
You're reacting
Please,
to rumor?
please,
A whole government
please,
reacting to rumor?
Please. You allowed him to speak, allow me
No,
to
I'll
speak.
come to
Good.
it when it gets to the time.
So it was all over the place. It was not rumor. It was in the media. All over
Really?
the, of course. You don't know. It was only in the media, on the internet, everywhere. He was dead.
It was on social media, I mean.
Please. He was dead. He was dead. He had collapsed. He was in a coma. I remember that some people met me and I said, we saw him. He was at the airport. He was speaking to people. They said, no, they didn't see it. And that they saw a trick, you know. So everybody was anxious. Our supporters said, no. When he's coming back, they want to see him. They want to come to the airport.
Everybody
they were
was
excited.
anxious?
They were excited. You know, some people were praying that he would be dead. Text messages were being sent. He has kicked the bucket and
Who
all
sent
those
those
things.
text messages?
Well, all those are not for this discussion.
But you know, but it's a very substantive
those,
point.
Those are
I need to
those
ask.
are not for this discussion.
No, I'm
But
not
so,
talking about the text message.
We decided as a party. It was a party thing that we'll go and meet our president.
Because of those rumors.
Of course. All those, it was, and you sound surprised?
I'm surprised that the whole government will respond to rumors.
Hold on. You sound
And
surprised.
mobilize.
I'm really shocked that you'll be surprised because
It is
information
surprised that you are shocked.
information management is very critical. Okay, if there is some information going out there all over the place, and it's all over the place, and it's not just rumors, it is in print, it is documented in this day of telephone and things, and you tell me that government should not do anything about it, please. So we decided, our supporters said they would be there. And we said, okay, we should go and work. And we were very happy and excited that he was coming back. So we went there. There were just about 8 of us. We were not even up to 10. Okay? So this is the thing about Kwesi Jonah saying that we left our offices, only 8 of us. In fact, as at that morning, my minister had left to continue the 3rd leg of his tour. Right from the airport, I continued. I went to, Bato. From there to Avedakpa. From there to Hohoe. Everybody went back to his work. When did he arrive? The plane touched down around 12:30. By 1:30, we had finished. That was break time. Everybody had left. So what is this business about? People are wasting their time and they don't have anything to do and they go to the airport to go and show their loyalty to their president. I think it's an insult to our intelligence.
I mean, they had every right to show loyalty to the president.
Well,
It's not about loyalty. It's about happiness
That was-
and joy.
it's
that was
a
what I
question-
was
it's a
coming
question
to.
with
I don't know whether that's loyalty.
No,
anyway.
I'm saying
I
it's not.
mean, because indeed he's the
Happiness,
president,
excitement,
and if indeed
excitement.
if he had gone for a medical checkup, the counter-argument is that indeed you cannot fault government for mobilizing ordinary folks who simply want to be there with their president.
The president
to go and show.
said-
And there's a question to him.
Evans,
I want him to respond to that.
Evans.
please. It is important you put this in context. It was not just that he had gone for a medical checkup. It was the circumstances surrounding that going. Where it was everywhere that he was dead, he was in a coma.
And the point to Mr.
That is the
And the
issue.
point to Mr. Ahmad, that is fair, some have suggested.
Well,
That if you look at the context, definitely that was
well,
fair.
well it's up to the NDC and how they will manage some of these things. But the president said he was going for a routine medical checkup. It's more or less a normal thing. He goes, he left on Saturday. On Tuesday, we were informed in Parliament that he had left for a routine medical checkup. That was the first time we were being informed of such a situation in Parliament. Because anytime he's traveling, he rides to Parliament and he tells us what he's going to do. This time around, he has said it at the airport, and we heard in Parliament that he was going for a routine medical checkup. 10 days. On the 10th day, he arrived. But all we heard was a big rally. I didn't see that. Big rally at the airport. to welcome the president who had gone for a routine medical checkup. So I was saying that, hey, why was there something special about this particular medical checkup? If it had been a treatment, like Hugo Chavez, I don't know.
Like how Nanado was wishing that it was treatment.
He has the floor.
I'll
appreciate if you allow him. If you allow him.
It's just a small interjection to put it in context. Because he's using the word treatment.
He was asking
Flag was talking about treatment. So he wished that he was sick.
You're getting too worked up about this matter.
To make his point.
It's a simple matter. He told the whole world he was going for routine medical checkup. He came back to meet a whole rally, and then he addressed the rally and drove off. Then the various commentaries, why did you even wish him? But when he came back, he said that God was kind enough that when everything was okay, he's come back. Now, are you saying that those who were wishing him well, they shouldn't have wished him well? When he himself is paying or showing gratitude to God for bringing him back and for the fact that he went for medical checkup and nothing was wrong. I mean, I don't know why we create so much. Some thought that we were rather diverting attention. There are key issues, pressing problems that we have to address in this nation. We spend all our time talking about the president going for medical checkup.
But some
medical checkup. And they're making all the fanfare about it.
Mr. Ahmad, that is important. It's at the heart of government because it's not for anything that the Constitution talks about the president's health as a condition for letting him step aside.
They say the president is well.
And in other jurisdictions,
they are saying the president
is having his medical checkup, it's a subject that people will say you have to hold the president accountable to the people. It's one element of that.
They don't want you to talk about it.
And so it's a good
They don't want you to talk about it.
Are you sure?
To the extent that
are you sure?
They haven't said that.
No, they haven't said that.
They haven't said that.
Now he's going for routine.
I'll come to you. They haven't said that.
You can't stay still.
They haven't said that.
The president told us he was going for routine medical checkup. They didn't want anybody to even discuss it. To the extent that they were discerning or anybody would give the slightest idea that he may go for treatment. To the extent that those who were even wishing him well became evil. I mean, if you create such an atmosphere, then you want everybody to keep quiet, nobody to even discuss the president's health. When you have said it, it's an obvious fact that the president's health is the most critical thing.
And that is why the Constitution demands that he informs Parliament, the representatives of the people,
we don't find
when he's traveling for such a thing. Let me open the phone line because I'm sure there are people out there
make that matter a taboo subject.
Who wants
to. Of course.
And hold on, because I want people to join us also to have their say.
But I should have my say.
You have your say. Definitely. You have your say.
You started
it. Because we still have some time to wrap up. You can join us if you're listening to us, wherever you are, because you're on satellite. You can join us 0302 211-70124. Call us and have your say on this particular topic. And the first one we had as well, if you are affected by the districts and you're happy about it because it's going to bring you development, please join us and tell us how exactly that will change your life. If it's not, tell us as well. 0302-211-70124. And you can send us a text as well, 1760. I have a caller from WA on the line right now. Thank you for joining us here on Joint Caucus.
Thank you very much as well. This is Admuda calling from WA. Congratulations to you and Honorable Obi Amwa. I think he has done a great job. You see, the NDC is confused. Districts were created by President Kufuor. How are those districts being founded? The funding is even too small to cater for this thing. Yet, particularly in the Upper West region, the districts that were created are still struggling to survive, yet you are creating more. Particularly the Nadoli side, they have created one district there, Lambuse, Buse, a third district. That district is about 25,000. So how can you do such a thing? And you think that you can do that and go and score political points? At least you should consider the two things. You didn't take into consideration the population. You took into consideration the landmass. What kind of government are you? And also to talk about the president's health. You realize that these people went and asked people to come and welcome the president just because the president went for a medical checkup, which I do not even believe that he went for medical checkup. He went for treatment because we can all see.
The official communication is what we have to use, and the official communication
from the outside we are seeing.
Anything beyond that will be your own conjecture. Thank you very much, sir, for your time, Adawuda. You want to respond to a number of the issues raised by Mr. Amwa on the subject
of that. the whole premise.
Hold on slightly for me. I'll give you the time to respond. I have another call on the line. Thank you for joining us. Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm calling from Upper West region. My name is I Abayama. Please,
Thank you for joining us here on Joint Caucus.
Yeah, before you start the program, I heard the Honorable Minister from NDC. He made mention that before the creation of Upper West region, that there was nothing like development, which is lies. There was 5 which contains 100 people. At the same time, we're having a lot of bungalows at low cost, which government, developmental heads can even go there and enter. What he is saying is lies. There were a lot of activities.
I see, and thankfully he's here to respond to that.
I'm not saying that there was nothing there. I'm saying that if you look at before the creation of the region and the impact of the region, this is something which is verifiable. It's there. The facts are there for everybody to see. So I don't want to.
And you want to respond to some of the key issues raised about.
The main point is that we are not concerned about discussions about issues of.
We'll pick our last call.
Well, let's discuss the health of all presidential candidates. Okay, they should all do reports, including toxicology reports. They should put it out in the public domain. Let's see what substances they've been taking into their bodies all over their life. They should put it out there in the public domain.
Let's pick our last call.
We don't have any difficulty.
We have our last call on the line. Abu from Borgas on the line. Abu, thank you for joining us on. Thank you for joining us here on Caucus.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
And good evening to your panel here. And Honorable Obi, don't worry yourself. Don't disturb yourself. These people, they don't regard anything. Outcome of the power. Look at the deputy minister, the way he's sitting there. Outcome of the power. Because the Caucus Quarter in court, they send him to court. What are they doing? The same thing. Just how when they go to court, they go and see the cabinet meeting. So they don't get anything about the law. They are governing this country, but all they want to govern the country. But the national issues are there. And there at NDC, they can come out and make propaganda and everything. That's what he says, so tell them something. There's no propaganda can no rule the country. You can lie and deceive the people to come to the power. But you cannot take that one to rule the country. There are just the deputy minister is sitting there to it. That you compare it.
Okay.
They want us.
Abu, thank you very much. I think we just lost you on the line. Let me come back to Mr. Priyankra. You were responding to a number of the issues raised when it comes to the president's health. And whilst you do that, consider this question as well. Some say that it's basically the way the communications around the president's health has been handled by government. And that is why we have all this brouhaha about it anytime it comes up. And that if there's a bit of transparency in communicating to the people, for example, then we'll have this discussion because then people will know. And those rumors will not even come up in the first place. How do you respond to that?
You see, I'm forced to disclose a few things to you. I was in South Africa, I was with the president in somebody's house, okay? When a call came to the person that the president was dead. How do you manage this?
This was years ago.
Yes.
I recall doing an interview.
And before the 2008 elections. How do you manage that? Where is the transparency? The man was standing there, okay? And the person who got the call was shocked. So what is going on? Okay?
Maybe before he left, you could have put out a statement. Says the president is going to South Africa for X, Y, Z.
And he was well and standing, and everybody was shocked. And they said he was dead. And I arranged that he did an interview and said, I'm not dead. I'm not in the cemetery. I'm not even in a hospital.
And I can say that he spoke to me on Newsnight then. I recall that interview quite clearly.
So it's some people, you would just have no other reason than to believe that some people really wish that the president would die. Whatever it is that it is, everybody has a medical challenge, one way or the other.
What about the communications question?
Don't you go to hospital?
We all do.
Don't you? Everybody does.
But when he's the president, it's different.
Good.
Of course.
Good.
When he's the president, it's different.
Good.
It's not an ordinary president. That's
exactly.
why we vote for him.
So when he's going for medical checkup, he puts it out, I'm going for medical checkup. And then people still say he's dead, he's in a coma. He walks to the airport, he comes down, he jogs, people say he's dead, he's dying, he's going to die. He will live and live and live
And we all want him to live.
Well,
because he's our
I hope
president.
so.
And Mr. Samuel, final word to you.
I've said that we should not make the president's health a taboo subject. I mean, I have not said anywhere. I don't think people will say anywhere the president is dead when nothing of that sort has happened. That's a fact.
People have said.
As for Facebook and rumors and those things, people can say what they want. It's a free country. But the fact is that don't make it look like even those who are wishing him well are enemies. If you do that in a democracy, you constrain everybody.
Mr. Samuel, we'll hold you to your words when Ronaldo comes to power.
Very well. What did
sometime in the future, if indeed he wins the elections
did they say about President? Even chiefs, people gossip about them. People spread rumors that they are dead. When they travel, people say they are dead. They won't come back.
And I want to say a big thank you to you. And it's something that we'll watch because indeed, they say politics is a cycle, and we'll be watching that very closely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, MP, a member of Parliament. I just want to quickly wrap up. Just quickly wrap up nicely. MP February, so I'm a member of Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Committee. Honourable Obi Amwa, also Elvis Efriankra, you just heard, Deputy Minister, Local Government and Rural Development. And just for the records, I'm not campaigning for anybody. I'm campaigning for joint Caucus. And thank you for joining us here on the program. We leave you with some memorable moments from our past caucuses, minority and majority.
Young people of our country cannot let the people of our country down.
Okay.
For me as a young man, what I think is that when something is not going well in your community or in your country or in your region and you decide not to do anything about it, you are making the problem worse. Because by the very act of your inaction, you are exacerbating the problem.
And the youth, for their own self and the children yet unborn, not to be selling dog chins, not to be selling sachet water. We have potential doctors on the street there. We have potential engineers on the street. Let us put them at the right place and tap their potency so that Ghana will develop. You know, we Akans, we have a tradition. When something I say, Mikobu Sabrowa. Now I'm the Abrowa of NPP.